What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Entertainment Channel, guys. Today's Friday, June 6th. I'm back with another video. You know we're talking about sports. You know we're talking NBA, NFL, MLB. And today I was planning to talk about the Chicago Cubs, but last night's Game 1 NBA Finals was way too crazy. I couldn't wait to make a video. Couldn't wait till tomorrow. I was going to wait because Game 2 is not until Sunday. But I'm like, you know what? Bust that. I got to talk about the game. It was way too crazy what happened yesterday. One of the most insane NBA Finals games in recent memory, and kind of all memory, to be honest with you. And the Indiana Pacers pulling off the improbable, the impossible once again. They came back and won 111 to 110 on a Tyrese Halliburton game-winning shot. I'm sure you guys all seen it. He pulls in right inside the three-point line. Ugly Tyrese Halliburton form, but it still goes in. Thunder pretty much jagged Game 1. They had a chance at the end, but all you could really do was tip it in. They miss. Indiana Pacers steal Game 1, and just another epic, absolute epic Indiana game, man. And the crazy thing, too, is teams were 0-182 heading into this game when trailing by 9 points with 3 minutes or less left. And, of course, Indiana won the game yesterday, so now teams are 1-182. And they trailed in almost every series so far. They trailed against the Bucks like this, trailed against Cleveland like this. They trailed against the Knicks like this. So I don't think anybody was surprised, but it's still crazy when you're watching it happen live, when they're making shots. Like, I think about the Miles Turner bank three that went in. Nembhard crossed up SGA, put the absolute bangers on him. Step back three, two Canadians going head to head. So you know there's that extra incentive there for them to go hard. Two guys that are probably cool with each other. But just an absolute classic game, guys. So I want to pull up the end of the game for sure. Let me get this tweet up. So, I mean, dude, this is on. I'm sure you guys have all been on there. I'm not going to put the sound on because then that's when they copyright me, which I don't even know what that means, but we're going to avoid it. But you see right here, SGA gets the ball against Nembhard. Nembhard, who's been a growing NBA star, not star, but growing star role player this postseason, does enough. Shai misses that just off the back right there. They don't even take a timeout, so that's what you see. Tyrese looks up right there, 5 seconds, gets to a spot, which he doesn't have a spot, but gets there, rattles it in, and just another epic end to an Indiana Pacers game, man. I don't know what Tyrese Halliburton's doing. Him just like this team, they could be dormant the entire game, but when the ball needs to be in someone's hands, someone needs to hit the game winner. Tyrese Halliburton has that sauce. He gets it done. He's done it. He hit that game-tying shot against the Knicks where his toe was on the line. Now he gets that NBA Finals game-winning shot. And if you don't know who Tyrese Halliburton is, you definitely probably know who he is now, because he's on this final stage and just probably one of the best game-winning shots in a minute since we've seen with, like, what, maybe the Kyrie tying shot against the Warriors, but this is obviously only Game 1. But just a crazy game winner. His dad's back in the building. They let his dad back in, so you know OKC was got to be pressed right there, man. Like, how do you let this happen? You're up the entire game. Biggest lead was 15. And Shai's usually money there, but he did take 30 shots. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes here. They get the ball right at Tyrese. And just again, bro, boom, boom, boom. Weird little shot there. Makes it. Doesn't even go in nice. The form doesn't look nice. The bucket doesn't look nice. But that doesn't matter when you hit the game winner. You can make it, shoot it however you want, as long as that puppy goes in and you see he's hyped up, man. You got to give it to the Indiana Pacers because they're just never out of the game. For some reason, when the game gets tighter, they get looser. OKC definitely got tight. And I talked about it in my last video. Inexperience. I know this is the first time the Pacers are in the finals too, but even experience within some of these close games. I mean, Indiana's had these close games the entire playoffs. The OKC Thunder, probably one of the largest point differentials. They win games by a lot of points. So when that game got close towards the end, Indiana's like, all right, we've been here before. We know what to do. And OKC hasn't been there as much, especially not in the playoffs. They missed a couple shots towards the end. SGA misses that shot, and Indiana goes in and just steals, snakes out Game 1, and just a classic. And then this is what I was talking about with some of those leads. This is crazy. This is the first 3 rounds. You see round 1, they're down by 7 with less than 35 seconds. They came back and won. Round 2, they're down by 7 with less than 47 seconds. They come back. Round 3, they're down by 9 with 52.5 seconds left. They come back and win. And then yesterday, They're down by 9, less than 3 minutes. They come back and win again. So call them the comeback kids. They're never out of it. They never doubt themselves. So at this point, I don't know how everybody else is doubting them, but they definitely got in there, snuck out with the game 1 victory. And this puts all the pressure now on OKC. There's no way OKC has a chance if they go down 0-2, especially with Indiana going back to Indiana. So game 2 is going to be probably one of the more exciting games. I think OKC definitely gets it. Maybe some of my friends are like, you know what? Indiana should just fly back right now. Just give them game 2, fly back to OKC. But I don't think that's what the Indiana Pacers are going to do. I think they believe in this team. They obviously believe in themselves. It seems to be a different guy every time. You remember in the New York series, it was Nesmith that was hitting all those threes. Yesterday, it was like Miles Turner. I think he had like 11 points or something like that in the fourth quarter. So don't give up on the Indiana Pacers, guys. That's all I got to say. Don't give up on the Pacers. There was one more. Then we see this one right here. Go back. I hate it. Zooms in too much for me. So teams, we'll zoom out. Teams were 0-182 in the NBA Finals going into Thursday when trailing by 9 points in the finals with 3 minutes left since 1971. But Tyrese Halliburton, Indiana Pacers, they changed that up. They got the first W, and this Indiana team seems to, who knows why they wait until the very last minute to start playing, start turning up, but they do it, and it's working so far. So we'll see what happens in game 2. It's going to be definitely a very interesting series. I think people were sleeping on how good Indiana was. If you didn't know, they had the second best record since January in the NBA. The only team with a better record, the Oklahoma City Thunder. But they're in the finals for a reason, guys. Indiana was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and now basically that entire same team is now in the NBA Finals this year. So they got some of that experience. Carlisle obviously has that experience. Some people questioning, should Harkenstein have sat out? Why did they sit him out? And OKC did end up losing the battle in terms of some of the team stats that I'll show you guys in a second. But let's take a look at the box score now. So see that they won 111-110. Indy outscored OKC by 13 in the second half. They outscored them by 10 in the fourth quarter. So I remember at the end of the third quarter, SGA hit a 3, put them back up by, I believe, 9. And I was like, all right, that's probably game. But you just can't doubt the Indiana Pacers, guys. And you take a look, man, they had the entire team approach. They had, I believe, they had 6 guys yesterday that scored 10 points or more. So Siakam led them with 19. Nesmith added 10. Turner with 15. Nembhard 14. Tyrese Halliburton another 14. And then Obi Toppin came up huge off the bench. He had 17, and he had 5 3-pointers on 5 of 8 yesterday. So that ended up being a big X factor was Obi Toppin. Everybody's talked about OKC's depth. Obi Toppin comes in, gives them 17 off the bench, 5 rebounds. And Tyrese Halliburton, to be honest with you, very kind of quiet game. So he hasn't put up the biggest numbers against OKC. But this Indiana team, man, they're like one of those fighters. They just stay in the fight. They stay in the fight. They wear you out. And then, boom, they kind of catch you slipping at the end of the game. And it doesn't matter who it is. This fourth quarter, it was Miles Turner, Andrew Nembhard, and then Tyrese Halliburton comes at the end and gets that game-winning shot. So he still had a decent stat line, 14 points, 6 assists, 10 rebounds, but 6 of 13 from the field. What killed him was those three-pointers. He's only 2 of 7 from 3. And then over on the Oklahoma City side, man, Chet Holmgren, to me, kind of virtually just a no-show, to be honest with you. He had 6 points and 6 rebounds, only 1 block, 2 of 9. So I don't know what it was for Chet, but he just didn't look comfortable, and that's kind of been the case in some of these games for him. It seems like he's trying to still figure out where he fits within the Oklahoma City offense. Because you see the bulk of the shots right here, 30 to SGA, 30 shot attempts. Jalen Williams, 19 shot attempts, only 6 of 19. Shai only 14 of 30. Shai obviously ended up with 38 points, but that's because he's taking 30 shots. 5 rebounds, only 3 assists. And that's one thing, if I'm a Luka fan, and I remember last year in the finals, everybody was cooking Luka for not passing the ball. He had a stat line like this. SGA is the same thing, man. 3 assists. You have the ball that much in your hands. You're shooting. I get it, 30 shots. I mean, I come from growing up with the Kobe's, the Allen Iverson, so I don't blame you. But with a team like the Pacers, they're shooting really good from 3. You got to move the ball eventually. Like an open shot's going to be available. You got all these pieces around you. But off the bench, man, They pretty much combined almost for what Obi Toppin gave them. So that's kind of the problem when you do start Cason Wallace. It looks like he maybe was a little bit figuring it out too, missed 6 shots. But overall, man, the team stats, you'd be surprised. They kind of all do really lean in the Pacers' way. Obviously, the Pacers trailed the majority of the game. But you take a look at some of the stats here for the team. They were pretty much, let's see, they were down the entire game, but they shot a high, why did I say it like that? It was like the dorkiest thing I've ever done. They shot a higher field goal percentage. They made more threes. They shot a higher three-point percentage. They had more rebounds. They had more assists. They even had more turnovers. So some of these main stats, obviously, goes back and forth. But Indiana, man, when you see some of those things, you're like, man, how are they losing? They had the same amount of field goals, but they shot a better percentage. They made more threes. They shot a better percentage from 3. They had more rebounds. They had more assists. So you see those numbers play out, and you might think, man, Indiana got lucky in this game. But did they really get lucky? They shot better. They crashed the boards better. They passed the ball better. So that's kind of the thing with this Indiana team is that maybe they look like crap for 40 minutes, 35 minutes, but they're always in striking distance, and they just do enough. They kind of just hit you with those numbers at the end of the game. And I think some of these teams, I don't know if they like lull them to sleep a little bit, but they bounce back, and it's hard to imagine what this game would look like if they didn't have 25 turnovers. So they led in field goal percentage, led in three-pointers made, led in three-point percentage. They had more rebounds. They had more assists, but they did have 25 turnovers. So maybe this game could have been a lot worse, a lot better. Who knows what it would have been. But without those turnovers, Indiana could have won by 10. You don't even know. It's like a little bit of one of those things where you just look at the stats and you're like, man, how does it even play out this way? But it did. You see largest lead for OKC was 15. Let's see. Ooh, too far. Largest lead, 15 for OKC. But like I said, man, you see some of these stats. Let me make my little window smaller so you guys can see them. So you see some of these stats, man. Indiana trailed the entire game, but they led in a lot of the key stats. I said it, but I'll say it again. They had higher field goal percentage, more threes, higher three-point percentage, more rebounds, more assists. So they outshined OKC in a lot of these statistical categories. So maybe they would have won by more than one. They did have 25 turnovers. So who knows if the 25 turnovers makes a difference there, what happens. But it's going to be a great series. I think these teams are a little bit more evenly matched than we could imagine. And there's a big difference in the teams. You take a look at those shot attempts and some of the different, I got 2 boxes open. It's a very different contrast in how they play. You see everybody here is eating. Everybody's getting to double digits. Everybody scored that played yesterday for the Indiana Pacers. Then you see the OKC box score, and it reminds me a little bit more of that 2000 basketball. Like SGA is going to get his 30 shots. Jalen Williams is going to get his 20, and then everybody else just kind of fit in where you get in. And it wasn't there yesterday. SGA just one shot. If he would have hit that little shot over Nembhard, they would have won, but he didn't. And they only lost by 1, so not like OKC got blew out or anything like that. But I told you guys, Indiana had a chance, and we're seeing that play out. Maybe they're only going to get 1 game, but they still have a chance, guys. So I think OKC comes out next game, probably takes it back 1-1. The spread was out earlier. It was like 11.5. The spread for yesterday's game was 9.5, so who knows? But we saw that stat, 0-182 when trailing at that time in the finals, and Indiana pulled it out. So the sports books, they could take some losses. I'm sure they took some yesterday. I came up on like a little $70 just on some little parlay I put together. But really great game, guys. But besides the game was great. So let me sip some water real quick. That's that good stuff. Got to get a Yeti, guys. Go hydrate. You want the microplastics, guys? I don't. And I don't really care about anything. I still drink from the tap. But the microplastics thing is a little bit weird, making us a little sus. So besides the game, though, guys, one thing I've been seeing all over Twitter, all over social media, me and my friends were talking about it, is what happened to the NBA Finals court, to the logo. Like, I remember growing up, you would see it everywhere. You see the Larry O'Brien championship trophy, their center court, the NBA Finals cursive, lettering on the side. I don't know what, it looked boring yesterday. Like, how are they more worried about the in-season tournament than the NBA Finals? Here, let's see if I can get this tweet. There we go. So this dude, shout out to Mark Jackson's burner. I don't think it's Mark Jackson for real. But look how much better this used to look. This gives you a little glimpse, like nothing on the court yesterday except for Paycom Center. But you see where I had another one. Here we go. Like, look at some of these old courts, man. I'm sure you guys remember. I love the 90s one. I like the little circle with the finals right inside of it. But a lot of these were better than nothing. Like, look at the Kobe one. That's, like, iconic to me. Then you see the one, like, okay, we'll just go through each. So, Michael Jordan, like, what is this? We need that right there. We need these logos. Like, what are they doing to us? This is what the court looked like yesterday. So, yesterday it looked like this. Like, you just see a YouTube TV down there, Paycom Center. All they got is a little logo on the back of the jersey, which is weak. Then you take a look at how it used to look. This is one of my favorites right there. That black logo with the NBA Finals in it. Even this was clean. The hardwood looks a little bit bougie or broken, but the Finals, the Magic. So look at this is what it used to look like. This is when we were a proper NBA league. When we actually cared about the NBA Finals, when they decorated the court. When they televised the national anthem, televised the player intros, when they used to have a post-game show, now they just tell you to go turn on SportsCenter, and then now they just give us this buffoonery. What is this? YouTube TV, Paycom Center. Get us back to these logos right here. Like, they could do it by the next game, to be honest with you guys. They have enough money. I wish Adam Silver was paying attention to Twitter, paying attention to this podcast, but go change the logos on the court, please. Like, how are you going to get more excited for the in-season tournament where they're changing the entire court, doing everything possible? Then for the NBA Finals, you're giving us YouTube TV, Paycom Center, tiny logo for the NBA Finals on the back of the player's neck. Like, come on, get me back to this. I want that logo. I want some NBA Finals branding. I want this iconic Kobe with the finals right there. Even the big Larry O'Brien trophy in the middle of the court. Like, how do we have nothing? I don't understand how we're moving backwards. Whoever's running marketing for the NBA, I seriously have like a vendetta against you. The logos are getting more boring. The jerseys are getting more boring. And now the NBA Finals court is somehow getting more boring. All-Star games boring. Like, whoever's running marketing and doing all that right now for the NBA, you guys got to look into, maybe getting somebody that's not like 90 years old. I'm sure the person in charge of marketing for the NBA is probably like some old dude that has no idea what's going on, never had a Twitter account. But let's get this resolved, Adam Silver. There's plenty of things that are easy to fix in the NBA. This is probably the easiest. Update the logos for the NBA Finals on the court. You guys could have this done by game 2. I'm sick of looking at the court and only seeing like YouTube TV and Paycom Center. Like, we deserve better. We used to be a good league. We used to be a proper league. And now we're doing this lazy shit. But let's move on, man. I don't know. It hurts. It hurts. I just miss when we used to have fun in the NBA Finals, when people knew it was the NBA Finals. But now nobody knows it's the NBA Finals. All right, so last thing I wanted to talk about, guys, I've been trying to think, like, who is this? Like, who can you compare Tyrese Halliburton to? Who can you compare this Indiana Pacers team to? Like, what type of comp is there? There's a lot of, that's what we love to do nowadays, is like, who do they remind you of? I guess not nowadays, but it's just kind of like a human nature thing. But I think I finally come up with a really good Tyrese Halliburton comp. And I think the best comparison that I could come up with in terms of him and kind of this team is, I think he reminds me a lot of Jason Kidd when Jason Kidd was on that 2002-2003 finals run with the New Jersey Nets. You see Jason Kidd here. Let me pull it up. Jason Kidd. So I would say Tyrese Halliburton, my best player comp right now, I want to say is the 2003 2002 as well, like NBA Finals runs that Jason Kidd had with the New Jersey Nets. So for Jason Kidd, you see in the 2023 playoffs when he led them to the NBA Finals, he averaged 20.1 points, 8.2 assists, 7.7 rebounds in 20 games. And then in this playoff run for Tyrese Halliburton, it went away. Where'd it go? Oh, that's what I did. All right, let's see. All right, there we go. So for this year, Tyrese Halliburton, he's averaged 18.5 points, 9.5 assists, 5.9 rebounds in 17 games. So let me clean that up a little bit. So I would say, talking about who would be the best comparison, Tyrese Halliburton, if you can compare him to another, great NBA player that, made a great run in the finals, take a look. That's kind of what you try to think about. People have thrown out names like Magic Johnson, which is crazy. People said Steve Nash a lot. I think the best comp for Tyrese Halliburton has to be Jason Kidd. That 2003 run that he made with the Nets, even in 2002. But 2003 team, they made that run to the NBA Finals. They did end up losing, but Tyrese Halliburton reminds me a lot of Jason Kidd back then. A pass-first player, looking to get his team involved, could do a little bit of everything. And you take a look at some of Halliburton's stats. For this year in the playoffs, 17 games, he's averaging 18.5 points, 9.5 assists, 5.9 rebounds in 17 games. And then Jason Kidd, in that 2003 playoff run, he averaged 20.1 points, 8.2 assists, and 7.7 rebounds. So Jason Kidd, obviously already Hall of Famer, won a championship eventually in his career with the Dallas Mavericks, which coincidentally also coached by Rick Carlisle, who's the coach of the Indiana Pacers. So obviously not only do they have a coach that they shared in common, they made a finals run with, but you see these stats, they kind of speak for themselves. They're very similar. I think Jason Kidd was a better player, and the stats do show it. But you see Kidd, what he averaged right here in the 2003 playoffs. Then you see Halliburton, what he's averaging right now in the 2025 playoffs. So you look at some of the rosters, too. It is very similar. Like, this is the New Jersey Nets roster. And their starting lineup, they had Jason Kidd, Kerry Kittles, Kenyon Martin, Dikembe Mutombo, and probably Richard Jefferson. Then you see the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner. The big thing to me, the big difference is that Nets team, they were a lot more high-flying, running up and down the court, alley-oops to Kenyon Martin, alley-oops to Richard Jefferson. Kerry Kittles was more of that shooter, Dikembe Mutombo, playing defense down in the block. This Pacers team, they're like a high-flying offense as well, but it's the 2025 version. They're shooting threes. They're getting layups. And Pascal Siakam, you know, you take a look at those comparisons. Halliburton, Jason Kidd, very similar. They can get their points, but they're more worried about, you know, getting everybody else in the flow of the game. They can manipulate the game without even scoring. Nembhard and Kittles, Kerry Kittles was more of a knockdown shooter. Nembhard also becoming a knockdown shooter, but just like everybody else, he's got a little more handles. Nesmith, Richard Jefferson, way more athletic, but Nesmith probably a better shooter. Siakam and Kenyon Martin. Kenyon Martin was an old school power forward, athletic, played defense, bang you down low. Siakam can do a little bit of both, can stretch you out to the three, can, you know, post you up, get some mid-range. And then Miles Turner, not really a rim protector, more of a shooter, big guy in the paint. Then Dikembe Mutombo obviously was just like an old school center block you. So really interesting comparison in terms of just the teams to me, where, you know, they got the Nets, they had wings where Kidd was trying to get out and run, and, you know, they were dunking, getting all these fast break, crazy highlight reels, where the Pacers do the same thing, but they're spreading out. They're shooting threes. Maybe Obi Toppin's the only high flyer that comes in and can, you know, compete with some of these New Jersey Nets. But I really think this is the best player comparison. If I, you know, I'll say it again, the comparison here has got to be to Jason Kidd. You see those stats, they line up. Tyrese Halliburton, less points, more assists, a couple less rebounds. So just, I think that's the best comparison. You keep hearing Steve Nash. You hear a lot of, what else? Steve Nash. I hear some crackhead said Magic Johnson. But that type of point guard where you obviously pass first. But he puts up a little bit of everything, man. I like Tyrese Halliburton. If you didn't know who he was, you certainly know by now that name, Tyrese Halliburton. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know who's your best comp for Tyrese Halliburton. I still say Jason Kidd. 2003 Nets, you see the stats right here, kind of speak for themselves. And they both were just facilitators on those teams. Kidd had Richard Jefferson, Kerry Kittles, Kenyon Martin, then Dikembe Mutombo down low. Then you talk about Indiana. Obviously, Halliburton leading the charge. And you got Nembhard, Siakam, Miles Turner. So just two different versions of basketball. The Nets fit that 2000s mold where it was a little bit more big guys that could dunk and play defense. The Pacers obviously are not more shooters that can, you know, a little more versatile. You take those rosters are a little bit different back then, but Indiana Pacers, man, crazy game in game one. Let me know what you guys think about the game, about the player comp, the finals court. Like, what are we doing with the NBA finals court? Adam Silver, please get your shit together. But thanks for coming through for another video, guys. Today's Friday. We have to wait until Sunday for game 2 of the finals. It's also going to be at 7 o'clock Central Time. I think OKC pulls out game 2, but I also thought OKC was going to pull out game 1. So we'll see what happens. You always got to stay tuned for these finals games, especially with two teams like this that have never been here before. A lot of people think they can predict everything, but when you got two teams that have never won, they're both trying to figure it out. So we'll see what happens in game 2. Let me know what you guys think about everything, but don't forget, guys, you always got to go crazy. Don't be lazy, and don't do nothing fugazi. Deuces.